Hey guys, thank you so much for joining. I can see a huge number of people in the arena, as it were, but people are still rolling in. So let's give it another 60 seconds for everybody else to arrive. Bear with me 1 second. Just going to do a little technical check. Okay. Welcome to today's webinar. Super. Okay. While we wait for a few more people to turn up, looks like we're in. Yeah, wow. A lot of people, a lot of names I don't recognize. So, as always, guys, let me know where you are dialing in from. Town, city, country, shed, wherever. Just drop it into the chat. Drop it into the chat, just so I get a feel for who's out there. It goes into the chat if you can. Okay. Oh, no, the question box. Question box. Question box. Just try putting it in somewhere. Anywhere. Ah, Greece, the question box. Yeah. So the question box, that's for everything. I think the chat's for me. Chris from Madison, Wisconsin. We've got Keith from Hampshire. Christina from Greece. You lucky thing, because right now in London the weather is bloody awful. Roberto from Italy. Ciao, Roberto. Come stai? Stephen from Sheffield. Lorenza from Milano. Ciao, Lorenza. Wow, Georgia. Sue's from London. Sue, hope you're enjoying the wonderful summer we're having today. Who else have we got? Sarah, rainy Newcastle. Looking forward to the webinar. Thank you, Sarah. So am I, and I will get started in the next 30 seconds. We got a ton of people in the audience. Shame we're not all in the same room together, but there we go. Anyone from anywhere else? Frank is from Shoreham on the south coast. Benjamin's from Germany. Abby's from northwest England. Yep. Wow, the northwest. It's always terrible up there, isn't it? I shouldn't say that. My son's in Durham at the moment. Sometimes the weather's better than here. Okay, that's enough weather talk today. 5 actionable strategies. Oh, and by the way, guys, please feel free as we go through to test out your emojis. If you like something, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like something, don't give it a thumbs up. If you want to give me a smiley face, that'll be really nice, because that makes me really happy here in the shed all on my own. So any emojis will be gratefully received wherever you put. Oh yes, I see them here. Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We're off to a great start. So I'll let those keep going. What we're going to talk about today, actionable strategies. I want to focus on stuff that you can do immediately that will help the performance of your website right now, and also in the medium term and in the long term. I also promised you an update on the May the 5th spam update, and I've got a few more charts, some real howlers, some big name websites that have been in decline over the past 12 months. So stick around. This is going to be fun, but we've got a lot to unpack today. Now, there's a lot of names here that I don't recognize. Feel free still, if you're new in here, to drop in where you come from. But if you haven't been to a webinar of mine before, I'm working out of my shed today. This is the SEO Shed. I'm Jon Earnshaw, the Chief Product Evangelist of Pi Datametrics. And what is Pi? If you haven't come across Pi, well, it's an incredible platform that helps you to gain a really deep understanding and insight on the entire organic search landscape, to discover revenue opportunities, to drive up organic performance, to prepare for the future, and do so much more. And I'm going to show you some charts from Pi as we go through the day. So, as usual, I think I've already said it. You know where to drop the comments and the questions. If you have questions, please drop them in. They're going to be compiled, and I'm saving 10 minutes at the end, maybe a little bit more, to go through your questions. As always, you can chase me on LinkedIn as well if we don't get time. Okay, right, let's keep going. What are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk a little bit about double EAT and quality signals and helpful content. And I'm going to show you what happens if you don't focus on those things. And I call out three big high street websites that should know better, but whose eyes have been off the ball. Okay, cannibalization. I've got to mention this because nobody's fixing it and it's getting worse. Okay, internal links, such an easy, quick win. Such a simple way of getting visibility within hours. 4 and 5, I'm going to mix together again because they go hand in hand. So we've got some exciting stuff to get through today to unpack. Now, eat quality signals, helpful content. I think in my last webinar, I talked about helpful content combining with quality signals. What are these algorithms doing? People still coming in. Welcome if you've just arrived. These algorithms are trying to ensure that content is not only of the highest quality, and that's quality measured in signals that you embed into your content and into your site. The Google wants to ensure that you're actually really trying to help your audience. Okay, but before we get into the detail of that, I promised you all a quick update. Now, in my last webinar, I spoke about the spam update that Google announced on the 5th of March, finally rolled out on the 5th of May. Was it as big as we anticipated, or was it another mobile geddon that turned into nothing? Okay, so what are we talking about? We're talking about a supercharged spam brain, Google's AI-based spam prevention system designed to get 40% of the rubbish out of the SERP. This is what Google announced. Algorithmic enhancements, new and improved spam policies to surface the most helpful information, important, helpful information, reduce unoriginal content. We talked about unoriginal content in the last webinar. Keep lowest quality content out. Okay, so Google introduced 3 spam policies. 3 of them: expired domain abuse, scaled content abuse, and site reputation abuse. Now, this is interesting because every time Google launches a core update or talks about another update, everyone gets into a panic. But when Google spoke about the spam update, nobody was talking about it. And Google said, come 5th of May, you're going to wake up on the 6th, it's going to be a whole new world. Nobody really paid much attention to it. Last time, we focused on number 2, scaled content abuse. And I'll put a link to that webinar somewhere here because in the last, there's a link there already. Thank you, Holly. Because in the last webinar, okay, we were talking about AI generated content. Can you do it? Can't you do it? It turns out you can do it, but there are ways of doing it. So, quick poll. I want to get a sense for what you think happened on the 5th of May. And if you've seen my LinkedIn post of late, you'll have some inside information. Okay. So how big was the impact? Not much as usual. Bit of an impact, not a game changer. Or was it C, an absolute monster? And I'm talking about some websites. This did not impact all websites, but it was some websites. Okay. Well, okay. The results, the majority of people think a bit of an impact, but not a game changer. So thank you for taking part in that poll. 28% an absolute monster, 21% not much as usual. So a reasonable split there. Let's get in to the third part of the spam update. And I can tell you, site reputation abuse, if this was you, it was an absolute monster, and websites around the world will have lost millions of pounds, dollars, euros, whatever it is, in annual revenue overnight. Okay, so what is this update, or what was it all about? Well, this site reputation abuse is when third-party pages are published on your site with little or no first-party oversight. In other words, I want to make some money here, so you can shove your pages on my site, subfolder or subdomain, okay? And this is where the purpose is really to manipulate rankings, i.e. somebody's content's getting a boost off the back of another website, and that website doesn't really care of the nature of that content. And this included sponsored advertising, third-party pages, etc. So let's take a look at the action Google took. And I can tell you, my design team will be hiding their eyes in horror at this next slide I created, because that was an absolute monster. And I put this on LinkedIn and asked everybody to guess who it was. And it was the Independent newspaper. Okay, before the update, these guys were in position 1 on page 1 for some huge traffic driving terms: free betting, gaming websites, online betting sites, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. It wasn't just them. It was a whole bunch of other sites who are hosting third-party content without close oversight. That is a monster. And that's actually a monster I generated using AI, devouring content, so it can no longer be seen or surfaced. Okay, so, right. Okay. Ooh. Sarah, you may be coming to this, but do you have an example of site reputation abuse? Okay. Yes, I can find you an example, and I will find you an example as we get towards the end, Sarah. Thank you. That's a wonderful question. Wonderful question. Okay. Double eat and helpful content. Why are we still talking about this today? People still joining. Well, welcome if you've just joined. Why are we still talking about it? Isn't everybody fed up with it? Fed up with double eat and helpful content and quality signals? And you can throw reviews into the mix as well, because that's all been part of the past 12 months. Now, I can tell you something. People might be getting bored of it, but that doesn't mean that Google is giving up on it. Google is cranking up the quality, and the algorithms are getting better and better at detecting content purely designed for visibility or just isn't really that helpful. And this applies to all content. It doesn't matter. Long form, short form, PDPs, PLPs, it doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter. And to illustrate this, let's take a look at the home furnishing sector. Quick sip of chamomile tea stops me getting too excited in these webinars. Actually, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. This data's too good. Anyway, let's take a look at home furnishings. I'm going to highlight the performance of 3 major UK websites whose organic visibility appears to have attritionally declined over the past 12 months. If I was these guys, I would be super worried. Now, the index I'm going to show you is a visibility index. It's based on performance for 3,900 plus terms related to furniture and subcategories like living room, dining room, hallway, etc., etc. Okay, so let's take a look. Wow, who do we have here? 12 months data, nearly 4,000 searches. Okay, we got Wayfair, who've seen a 34% visibility decline in organic search. eBay 50%, Argos 64%. These declines are significant. Some remained flat, others increased. I just wanted to call out some sites that have seen these incredible declines. And the blue dots that you can see at the bottom of the chart, okay, from August last year onwards, represent Google updates of one form or another. And Google has been prolific. So it starts with the August core update. September, we had the helpful content update. October, spam. November, core. November, reviews. March, core. May, spam. And why is Google making these updates? As I said earlier, it wants to improve the quality of the SERP. It wants to make sure that your content is actually helping people and is not just there to generate revenue and actually not really help you. So, could these declines, I mean, look at Argos. Look at Argos in green there. Could these declines simply be a case of taking their eyes off the ball after a succession of updates? Quite possibly, yes. But if that was me, and that was my organic performance, because don't forget, organic performance relates to traffic, which relates to revenue. Okay, many of these updates or many of these declines, or say the updates, impacted content above the fold. So this is making a difference on page 1. Who's messaging me? I shouldn't be looking at who's messaging me. So let's continue. Let's take a quick look at Argos. For individual furniture and related subcategories, remember, nearly 4,000 terms. 2 things stand out here. Number 1 is site-wide. Okay. Number 2, it's a more noticeable impact on their better performing content, because for a lot of this content, they were scoring in the 70s and 80s. That's above the fold. That's top 3 positions on page 1. And this is basically an index which summarizes performance overall for all those search terms. And there's no better way of understanding, what does Google think of my site? Everything else aside, value of keywords aside, what does Google think about my site? Is my indexation as good as it was, or is it getting worse? Okay, so right, let's move on from Argos to eBay, who's seen a splendid 50% decline in organic visibility. Wow. People might think, eBay, we don't care, because people just go to eBay if they're looking for something on eBay. But nevertheless, it's a decline. And finally, Wayfair. Wow. And I'm looking at Wayfair, and then, yeah, they've declined substantially. But look what happened on the 4th of April. Wow. You know what? I saw that, and who did I think of? Elon Musk. I thought, what would Elon say about that catastrophic event? He would call that a rapid unscheduled disassembly. Okay, that's what happened to his rocket. It just fell apart before his eyes, and that's what's happening here to visibility in a SERP. A rapid unscheduled disassembly, not algorithmic, but clearly very problematic. I need to look at that again. I need to dig down and find out exactly what happened. I may put that on LinkedIn, but if these were my domains, I would not let that trend continue. Again, is that because they've just taken the foot off the gas and think, oh my word, Google's rolled out another update, it's helpful content, it's quality signals, it's double E. What? I don't really care anymore. It's all blended into one. Should you care? Absolutely, you should. And you need to be thinking about your double EAT signals. You need to be thinking about them. Fixing them, sending the right signals, won't see an automatic improvement like you could in the past with helpful content and reviews updates. Yeah, you can get instant. But here there are 6 elements that you need to focus on. And I talked quite a bit about double EAT in my last webinar. Question. Okay. Hi, John. I worked on a travel website, lost visibility across hundreds of keywords. 5th of May. No reputation abuse going on my theory, but we've lost page rank. Okay, that's super interesting. We need to have a conversation about that, but I'd love to look into that for you. I didn't catch your name there because we got a ton of data on the travel sector. Rachel, if you see a sharp decline in visibility, do you generally associate with the latest algorithm update? I can answer this one quickly, Rachel. Sharp decline, question you need to ask is it just me, or have other players in my sector been impacted in the same way, either up or down? If it's you and others, chances are it's algorithmic. If it's just you, unlikely to be algorithmic. And sharp declines only apply to certain algorithms, older core ones, not so much now, except the spam update, the absolute monster. Okay, so there are 6 areas. I talked about these in a previous webinar. That's in the chat there, so you can link to that. So I'm not going to go into these in any detail, but you've got to focus on them. Before we talk a little bit more about what I would do today, quick poll. How much attention does Google pay to off-site signals of content creators, i.e. the author of a piece of content. How much? None. It's all based on bios and bylines, which we know are super important. Just information that's connected to the site, so something that they've done that's connected, or a considerable amount. Wow, wow, wow. Just looking through the names. Any names? Okay. So, poll's almost finished. Okay, poll has ended. 65%, a considerable amount. Well, you guys have been reading your quality raters guidelines, so well done to you. If you were in that third category, absolutely yes. Google wants to know who wrote that content. What is their experience? You can't necessarily get that off the site. What is their level of expertise? Are they actually an authority? And can you be trusted? Okay. And I did actually build a GPT into which you can feed author names, and it will actually analyze them off-site in the same way that Google does. If anyone wants any information on that or wants to see that, then give me a shout, and maybe we can do that on another day. Okay, or anyone wants a webinar on that sort of thing, again, just drop it in there. Right, now, the first question I have to ask about Double Eat, now don't forget, helpful content is rolled into all of this, here's the question, are you really helping the reader? Here's an example of somebody who isn't, and this is extreme. I gave a presentation a while back at the Affiliate Gaming Conference in Amsterdam. It was an amazing, glitzy conference. And one of the speakers got up, and you know what he actually said? He said, yeah, we put tons of content all about betting and gaming and stuff like that, and we don't want anybody to read it. We don't care. We don't write for people. We're just doing it for Google. And increasingly, they are doing it using generative AI. And my jaw hit the floor. I thought, really? You just don't care? He said, yeah, we don't care. And I chatted to him afterwards. He said, yeah, we're just doing it for Google. And I tell you what, here and now, I haven't looked at this site, but I'm going to. Nobody needs a crystal ball to know that that's not going to be working much longer. So it doesn't matter who you're targeting. If you're selling handbags, you're selling mobile phones, you're selling headphones, fountain pens, who cares? Are you actually helping the reader, affiliate or not? These are 5 things that I would 100% be doing if I was shaping content. 1, go beyond the obvious. Okay, go beyond the obvious. Don't be boring. Okay, are you providing real insight and interesting information that's beyond the obvious that makes people go, aha, that's interesting. It'll make people want to buy it more as well. Okay, now if you're drawing content from other sources, are you just copying and rewriting? Don't do that, because Google knows the other sources. Provide substantial additional value. Okay, it's all about value. And don't be in that 40% that Google is shifting out of the SERP. The SERP is very different now to what the SERP was 2 months ago. Okay, people first. Write for your audience. Are you going to leave somebody having read your content and think, wow, I don't need to go any further. That's all I need to know. And this does apply. I have seen sites, actually, that it was furniture, that were negatively impacted by a core update because their product listings, pages, descriptions hadn't been updated in a long time while their competitors had. And then I showed them, this is how your competitor describes this corner sofa, and this is how you describe, I hope you're not in the audience, this is how you're describing the corner sofa. You're not giving people enough to make the click to go and look at the detailed description. These guys, on the other hand, are giving more than a sufficient amount of information. And then, you know what? If you are using any form of automation to create content, to generate content, you know, are you letting your audience know? Is it self-evident to visitors? Okay. Are you providing details about how AI was used in the process? Because there are plenty of sites doing that now that are performing very well. If you're not, you're going to fall foul of that first aspect of the spam update. And these algorithms, all of them, all of those algorithms on that chart I showed you are going to be tightening and tightening over coming weeks. If those sites that I showed you, oh, look at that. That's how excited I get. Oh, they're going to be tightening. And if you don't do anything about it, that decline is going to continue. Okay. I'll try not to do that again. Right. Okay. Moving on. Now, if your content, I don't care, affiliate, not affiliate, if you're talking about the best hiking boots or the best way to do this, or if you're reviewing anything, affiliate or no affiliate, then very simply, a lot of getting this right. And if you are getting it right, but you're still not performing as well as competitors, look to see how they are doing it. Those quick jump links are everywhere. So if I'm searching for something on my mobile phone, as we all do, and I'm looking for the best of something, best fragrance for summer, I don't know, and then I see it, I want to be able to jump very quickly either to the content or to buy it. Offer me both. Some do, some don't. The ones that offer me both will generally, everything else in consideration being equal, get better visibility. Pros and cons, what we loved, what we didn't love, how we picked it, what did it take to get my list. I have so many conversations with content creators about this sort of thing. And you know what? It makes a difference. It genuinely makes a difference to your visibility on page one. Difference between position 3 and 1, 5 and 2. Okay, how do we test it? I'm sure some people make this up. Oh yeah, we sat on each of these sofas. Did you really? Probably not. But sound like you did. I'm not saying you should do that. You should genuinely test them. Provide ratings and certainly user-generated content. Okay, I'm not going to talk about AI overlays today. No, I'm not. As much as I want to, as much as I want to tell one global brand, I told you it was coming, and they said, no, it's all only going to be a test. You know who you are if you're out there. Anyway, they are here, and UGC is a big part of that. It's a huge part of that, as well as other forms of content like video and images, etc. The landscape is shifting. AI overlays, SGE, it's not a feature, it's the new SERP. And we need to wake up. So, having got that part out of the way, and please, I didn't just put that stuff up there to have something to say. Those things really work. And if anybody out there has got a site, thinks they're struggling, thinks, how do I really apply this to me? Drop me a message, email, LinkedIn, whatever it was, put a question in here. I will follow up. Can always do that asynchronously, can always do that afterwards. If you're struggling, just reach out. So let's talk about cannibalization. This was my very first talk ever at Brighton SEO, and I'm amazed I'm still talking about it. I'm amazed it's got worse. And I know that everybody knows what it is, okay? And maybe I'll even put a link to a webinar I did recently in there. But just remember, cannibalization, it's a keyword thing. Not content cannibalization, it's keyword cannibalization. That impacts the content for that or those keywords. So it's a keyword thing. Okay, now, do you have cannibalization? I don't need to ask the poll because yes, you all do. Okay, first thing you need to do is understand the extent of it. Okay, find out how. Okay, we've posted something there. Thank you, Holly. Where would I be without you? Okay, you need to know if you've got it. Yeah, you've got it. You need to understand the extent of it, the patterns, whether it's increasing or decreasing. Now, if you're a Pi user, you're lucky. If you're not, then you probably should be. Okay, but here we have this wonderful thing called a content detector, and these guys, big high street name, forcing myself not to reveal who they are because they should know better. Okay, they have masses. Okay, so we've got 2,500 instances of cannibalization increasing. Let me tell you this: 40% of content sitting on pages 2 and 3 of Google right now is down to cannibalization, and it's easy to fix. Okay, so you need to know if you got it and whether it's getting worse or better and what the patterns are. Here's a more detailed example. Okay, this is my good friends at Argos. Argos, where would I be without you when I'm looking for an example of something going wrong? Okay, God, I hope I'm allowed to say all of this. I couldn't say this in America, could I? I'd probably be arrested. Anyway, we're searching for Samsung tablets refurbished. Apparently, it's quite a big term. How do I know that? Well, autocomplete told me. Autocomplete the terms that are actually on people's minds. Okay, predictions of what you really want. Tip, use autocomplete. Okay, stop chasing after the trophy terms. Anyway, they were doing well, and they had one of those a rapid unscheduled disassembly of their performance towards the end of May. This was actually last week. Don't need a magnifying glass to see that's not good. What have we got? Close inspection, 4 pages involved. There's a 301 in the mix. It all gets a little confusing. They've seen it. They're trying to sort it, but it hasn't worked yet. Good on you. Good on you, Argos. Good luck. Good luck with the rest of the cannibalization. Okay, right. Should we care? Big question. Some people say, I don't care about it. Well, it all depends. If we look at it on a term level, it all depends on the term. Maybe it's a term you don't care about. Purple dinosaurs. I don't care. I'm cannibalizing for that. That just doesn't matter. Okay. It could be a derivative of a term. Okay. A singular or a plural version that you actually don't really care about. And you also have to consider the amount of cannibalization and the impact this is having on your traffic and your revenue. So it's always worth keeping an eye on it from a site-wide perspective, category perspective, but on a micro level, it's down to the term itself. Now, having a wonderful toolkit to be able to discover it is one thing, but you've got to fix it. And I've talked about this in previous webinars. I'm not going to go into details today, but I'm bringing it up again because not a day goes by when I'm not contacted by somebody who says, I think I've got conflict, cannibalization. I get this from all over the world. Can you take a look at it for me? And I thought, oh my God, it's going to take you like 60 seconds to fix it. Okay, so we'll put a link to a, thank you, Holly. Okay, most people don't bother. Then you end up with thousands. Then you end up in that 40% not making revenue. Okay, first question, or you have to make a decision. Do you want to be visible for the search term? If the answer is yes, decide which of the pieces of content in the mix you want to be the doorway. Here's my classic example. As we move into summer, every chap, every lady maybe, wants a nice summer blazer. Well, I certainly want a nice summer blazer. Now, just imagine these three, and if you've seen this before, sorry, I'm going to whiz through it. There's a chance, if you've got pages dedicated to each one of these, that they could conflict for the term men's blazers. If you don't have a men's blazers page, they will conflict, almost certainly. The men's blazers page, maybe that's a term that you do want because you specialize in men's blazers. Okay, so before you do anything, before you start tweaking and tampering and changing page titles, you need to check the visibility of each of those 3 pages, okay, which is the linen, the cotton, and the summer. Do they position in their own right? So you don't want to be making changes to those to impact on that. So just be aware of your visibility outside of the term. Again, it's a keyword thing or a term thing. But here's what you can do. One of these, my cannibalization toolkit. So I open my bag and inside I have a toolkit to deal with cannibalization in a very fast and efficient way. Now, with one or a combination of those, I guarantee you can fix any instance of cannibalization in a flash. I've seen so much of this, and it's so wonderful to see this happening because normally within 24 hours, maybe sooner, depending on your site being crawled, it's gone. It's gone. Downgrade the theming, title, focus on that title, Largely, it's because of the title. You change the title, and then you're largely going to prevent it. Merging, 301ing, older content. Again, I don't want to go into detail. All I want to say is it can be done. Go to the other webinar if you want that, but what I have here is just a diagram that summarizes the men's blazers thing using a combination. Make a hub page, hub and spoke, topical authority, super important. Make a hub page, and that content in that hub in its entirety will work better as long as you link appropriately. As long as you are using the appropriate anchor text, linking to men's blazers, using men's blazers, linking to and between the linen, cotton, and summer with linen, men's linen blazers, men's cotton, etc. You get it. You guys get it. Question is, why is nobody identifying their conflict? Why is nobody fixing it? Because it hasn't moved in the 15 years I've been studying it, except when I've given people recommendations to actually implement and do it. And the results, wow, suddenly I'm making more revenue. Okay, right. So finding those complements to boost authority. I've talked about this before, the site operator. Site operator is an amazing thing. Okay, there it is. But you don't need to worry about site operators becoming to your favorite SEO, organic visibility performance platform soon by Datametrics is optimized now with a feature called Authority Boost, which is going to automatically identify at content level opportunities for links where there aren't any and to improve links where there are, but they're no good. So that's going to take care of it all for you. And I just wanted to touch briefly on links, internal links. I mean, why are these so important? Well, it's because they're the backbone of Google's algorithm. Always have been since about day 10, always will be once Google stopped being an index and started to actually rank pages. And they're part of PageRank, which is still fundamentally important at page level. If you don't believe me, Google's Gary Illyes said so recently. So they're important because they're critical for page theming, because that's how the web works. They're important also for your audience, for your users, for your readers, for your customers, because at the end of the day, once they get into your ecosystem, it's going to help them discover related content they didn't even know they were looking for. And it's like being in a shop. It's like being in a shop when the assistant says, well, that looks good on you. Why don't you try this as well? I will buy it every time. I don't care what it is. That's why I'm broke. Okay? And the same happens with links. Help people to find things they're not even looking for, as long as it's related. And I won't go through this structure, but obviously you have to think not only about linking down and up through the nav, get the anchor text right, but link horizontally between content on the same level. That's where you can make a substantial difference with contextual optimization. And I've got a penultimate poll. Guys, would you give me a breather and a chance to drink some chamomile tea while you answer this question? Do you actively look for internal link opportunities outside of the main nav elements? Wow. Wow. You're creating new content. I expected. Yeah, okay. 3/4 of you. 3/4 of you, yes. Brilliant. 5% no, guys, we need to talk. Sometimes we need to talk. This should be a no-brainer anytime. And I work with some major global clients, and I am amazed that some people are still doing this. I'll get an email, somebody will say, I've got this content, published it 2 weeks ago, and it's not doing that well. Well, have you given it an authority boost? What's that? Or no? You provide those links and you will see impact, I guarantee, within 24 hours. So thank you for taking part in that poll. We now move on to the last 2 bits together before I can maybe get on some of these questions. And as I do this, Guys, if you have any questions, just drop them in. There's plenty of you. Don't be shy. Whatever, no matter how random that is. Okay, so where are we? Let's move on. Optimize your page theming. Okay, now think of theming, and everybody knows this, but I have to say it because people still make mistakes. Think of theming as the basis for on-page optimization, on-page and intra-site. So think about keywords, URLs, titles, headers, meta description, internal link schema. Beyond that, all of this is taken into consideration when you theme a page. Get it right, you're off to an amazing start. Get it wrong, and you're going nowhere. Your page, by and large, in the absence of an external powerful link, is never going to position. And the key to getting it right is using data front and center. Don't do this. Oh, I know. I'm going to create content about this. Maybe there's something happening. Maybe there's a fashion trend or something, or a piece of furniture or a fragrance. It doesn't matter. Then build content. Create content. Pay somebody a lot of money to create content. Then optimize it. That's a good idea, isn't it? SEO it. Publish it and then check to see how it's performing. No, no, no. Don't do that, because there's no such thing as an SEO button. I wish there was, but then again, I'd be out of a job. There is no SEOing of content once it's been published. And, you know, my regular listeners, talking to regular listeners, hello, Rachel, I see you there. Talking to regular listeners, you all know that where do you begin the process of optimization? You begin with the audience, and that begins in the SERP, because the SERP is a dynamic manifestation of audience and searcher intent. And I made this diagram. I love this diagram, but I'm not going to take you through it. Unless anybody wants me to another time, I would happily give up my own time to take you through this and why it's wonderful. But anyway, thanks to the incredible interplay between content, searches, and Google. So it's content, searches, and audience, and Google. Other search engines are available, and increasingly Google, watch out, because Perplexity is on your tail. Okay. This effectively gives us the world's largest database of human intention, and in the center of this interplay, we have incredible data that gives us answers to 4 questions. All of this you get from the SERP. If you're a Pi user, you can get it from Pi. You just sit back and relax. Okay, that aside, the answers to the questions. Which questions? What is your audience looking for? Okay, you can pull that from the SERP. Use autocomplete, keyword discovery. Watch for those trophy terms, though. What questions are they asking, and how are those questions changing over time? People also ask, what are they thinking about? What, you're creating content, you don't know what you're thinking about? Well, what they're thinking about is informed by the content they're consuming now. That's your competitors. You need to understand what content is a match for intent. What sort of content should I be shaping? Long form, short form, informational, navigational, transactional, and type, video, images. How important is any of this? All those answers are in the SERP. Long live the SERP, which is obviously changing thanks to AI overlays and other things. I won't go off on one, I promise. Okay, so forget that linear process that you saw before with SEO in the middle. Okay, forget that title as well. I was going to use that, but I'll come on to that in a minute. But this is kind of the process. Get inside the mind of your audience. Create content they want to consume. How do you know what they want to consume? Look at the SERP. If it's not in there, if images and video are there, your audience are consuming images and video. And ask yourself the question, okay, do we belong? But before I get to that, okay, how, where might your audience search for it? Because we're moving beyond classic Google rapidly. If you're an affiliate, be afraid. Be very afraid. If you don't know why, then reach out. For goodness sake, reach out now before it's too late. Okay, you need to read the SERP. You need to read the SERP. Not only do you need to ask the question, do we belong? And if you don't, then don't try and get in that SERP. What form do we belong in? Okay. You got to do those checks on your ecosystem. Refer to previous webinar. Otherwise, you're going to end up with cannibalization if you don't optimize contextually. And then finally, you're going to end up, thanks to the SERP, bringing that in first with an intent-led content strategy. Almost done. Almost done. Couple of minutes left. But there's some good stuff coming, so don't go. Don't go. Don't be like the kid leaving the classroom early. So, landscape, thanks to the web radar here, the SERP radar is changing rapidly. This is a search landscape 6 months apart. More features appearing, some more, some declining. Don't target declining features. Okay. Now, not only do you need to think about the nature of the query, whether it's a keyword, old school, conversational, increasing rapidly with AI overlays. Is it voice as well? Okay, but think about search mechanism. Google, Gemini, Perplexity, Copilot, as everybody saw yesterday or the day before, now built into devices. Google, it's all over the news, is terrified and shaking in its boots. Okay, the world is changing fast. How do you keep up with it? Study the landscape. And above all, whatever landscape you are targeting, please, for me, target multiple doorways. Sites like Healthline do it brilliantly. Okay, they do it brilliantly. Target multiple doorways, and if you see in the SERP, and this is the SERP matrix, if you see answer cards, classic links, video carousels, and images, you can have them all. So let's stop asking that. Thank you, Roberto. Oh, come on, guys. Any more? As we near the end of this, any more? Thumbs up, hearts. Deborah, Holly, Rachel, Chris. Thank you, guys. Okay. Because forget the myth, you can have the classic link and an answer card. Yes, you can. There's a way of doing it. I wrote about that somewhere. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And for goodness sake, stop asking the question, are we on page 1? Instead, the question should be, how many doorways have we opened on page 1? And I'm going to be talking specifically about multiple doorways and multiple landscapes in my next webinar, which is Mastering the SERP Multiverse. Okay, I have talked about the SERP Multiverse at Brighton SEO. This one is going to extend that. It's going to be a lot more exciting with a lot more actionable takeaways. Speaking of which, to summarize the last 49 minutes, put the audience first and be algorithmically aligned. Again, if you think, where do I really start with that? If you can't get it from previous webinars, reach out. Please reach out, or you're going to end up in the decline like those major domains. If you're worried, is that happening to us? Again, reach out. Just drop a thing on LinkedIn. Don't let cannibalization run wild, because from what I can see, most people are in that 40% who are losing money because they are off page 1 because of cannibalization. Okay? Keep going. I should have saved that for the end. That just happens automatically. That's AI for you. Strengthen those internal links. Don't publish without injecting authority. Okay. Strengthen page theming. Read the landscape first. Start with the SERP and target multiple doorways. Okay. And then finally, just before we go to the Q&A, I'm going to launch a final poll. Already a customer? No? Who said no? Yes. No yeses? Any yeses? Yeses. Could do the demo myself. Oh, 3. Should have kept my trap shut. 4. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay, poll is about to. Poll has ended. Now we've got 10 minutes left, and I'm going to try and get through some questions. So please, if you have any questions, drop them into the oh yeah, into the questions. That makes sense, wouldn't it? So I'll leave it on this slide. I don't think I need to go any further. Now, if I go back to the first question that came in from Sarah, an example of site reputation abuse. So I don't know whether you feel I answered that, Sarah, with the chart that I showed you. I'm actually just going to jump back in time to roughly where it was. Okay, so site reputation abuse, that was the one with the monster, and that was the example there. So I can just go into a little bit more detail on that. Okay, question for, okay. Yeah, keep going with the questions. Sarah, if you're still there, hope you are. And I think I probably answered it, but if you think now that's a fine website with a fine authority, I'm going to pay them some money either through commission or click or some other mechanism to have a subfolder or a subdomain and put my content onto it, because when somebody searches for it, the wonderful PageRank and authority from my site is going to soak down into my content as well. So I'm going to sit back and relax and do nothing with my brand new content that doesn't need any authority because it's going to hijack it. It's a bit like, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the thing that lives on something else? Gosh, somebody help me out here. Put it in the chat. There's something lives on a host. It's a parasite. Parasite. Ah, yes, thank you. Thank you, Deb Hanley. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's actually a good film as well. Okay, so that's an example. Rachel, I've answered yours. The travel one, apologies, I haven't got your name here, but we will come to that. Question. Okay. Okay, where are we? Do LinkedIn posts help the author on their website in the context of EAT? Faisal, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Now that's a good question. I would say anything that an author has published that can be crawled by Google, and let's face it, Google gets everywhere, including your Gmail. Okay, the Google can access, where it can use its intelligence to see how many likes you had, how much interaction you had, how much what people thought of your content, and it can crawl that and it can see that, and then almost certainly it's going to be a part of it. So yes. Sarah Main, question for after the webinar: how do you feel about adding unique graphics? 2 pages. Do you think it impacts on rankings? So rather than using images across stock? Oh yeah. I would try to avoid using stock. And to answer this question, I would say, okay, number one, look at that matrix view. Are there images appearing in the SERP? Because Google will very, very, very rarely include more than one image. Stock, you're never going to appear in Google Discover either, and that's an important consideration. So avoid stock. Go bespoke, be creative, go high quality, and if you are trying to get your images in Google Discover, then don't forget to put the code in your page, max image preview. So that's a tip. Interested to hear your opinion. So yes, Sarah. Right. So yeah. I don't know. I think, Ollie, tell me if I haven't. I think I've answered most. And anyway, last 60 seconds for a final question. Put me on the spot. Okay, right. Do LinkedIn posts. Okay, I've done that one. Does every article need to have some link info about the author, or is it sufficient for small websites to only have a proper general about page? That's a good question, Benjamin, I believe. Now, yeah, thank you, Benjamin. I would say it depends on the nature of the site and the nature of the content. Certainly, if you are high YMYL, your money or your life, does your content potentially impact the future health, wealth, or well-being of whoever's going to read it, then I would say yes, it's important. Low YMYL, less important, but again, look at what your competitors are doing, because Google will compare you relatively with your competitors. And if you're a small site, you're going to be agile, quality is going to give you an edge, and you can win in the AI overlay or SGE world thanks to your agility. Maybe we should have a webinar on that very subject at some stage. So I think that just about wraps it all up. Hold on, another question. Deb, how is the impact of AI incorporation with Google change all of this, especially as to the needs of content and optimizing it? Deb, oh my word. If you asked me that at the beginning, I would have cancelled everything else and just answered that. So thank you so much. We should probably have a conversation about that, because that changes everything. Over 70% of searches are informational. And if somebody is going to reach your product or your service via an informational journey, search, a journey of exploration and discovery, it's essential that you are in that AI window. It's essential that you take part in the conversation. It's essential that you are able to monitor those conversations. Am I in it? Am I not? That's where agility counts. Yes, it requires a different approach. And I work with a number of people building out, I won't give too much detail, but content hubs, and already seeing incredible success in the AI window. So yeah, it's different, need to think differently and move rapidly away from trophy terms. Trophy term over there, I'm running this way, because search is moving towards the conversation. The new currency of performance, guys, is conversation. You heard it here first. Well, I did say it in another webinar, but there you go. Okay. And if you want to talk more there, we'll do that. Okay, Chris, as an agency that creates content on behalf of clients, best practice to acknowledge. So whoever's creating it, agency, okay, agency can create a content and get an expert who is experienced, who is trustworthy, who can send all these signals to actually then run over that content and put their stamp, their seal of approval onto it. Who does that really well? Belt and braces, Healthline. So they have an author, then they have an expert as well with a load of degrees. So and again, Chris, if you want to look at some examples of that or see how that's done, please reach out, email, LinkedIn, whatever it is, and I'd love to talk with all of you. So I think that's the end of the questions. It's 15:58 on a. Oh, how does Google react to temporary links that have been removed? Oh my word! Oh my god! I see. Okay, one more. Of course, one example in 60 seconds, no, 30 seconds. I saw a site. The guy paid a lot of money, bought it, had an amazing link that gave it incredible authority, and this was genuine. Okay, about 3 months after he bought it, the guy removed that link because he was selling similar to another site. Lost visibility overnight. Nothing you could do about that. That's kind of abuse, isn't it? So yeah, anyway, I'm going to finish on the dot. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate all of the thumbs up and the likes and the questions. And for all of you who stayed till the end, which is the majority, thank you. You've made my day. Tell me what you want me to talk about in the next one. Actually, I've already got there. One after that. Let me know, and I will hopefully deliver. But again, thank you. It means the world to me that you've all stayed for this, what seemed like about 30 seconds to me, but apparently was an hour. So my gratitude to you all, as always, especially my regulars. So thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the summer when it comes.